let's just go through some different items before we begin the questions, inshallah. Right. So those of you who were with us last week Wednesday, alhamdulillah, we were able to cover many questions, and we have the same brothers with us tonight. So we have Sheikh Asad as well as Brother Isa, both of whom are graduates from the Qura University in Makkah, and we have Sheikh Abdul Salam Noor, who I think just joined us. So he had another call tonight. So alhamdulillah, he's a graduate of the University of Medina. So these brothers are well qualified in the areas to answer these questions, and inshallah will be handling the questions first. So about the questions, we covered many questions in the last webinar. For those of you who were here, many of you were not there. So we covered many questions, many basic questions. The last webinar was really aimed at helping new Muslims to understand Ramadan and fasting. This webinar is, of course, to open up to any questions, simple questions or advanced questions as well. So we welcome any questions. We received questions before from some participants, so we have those that we'll be going through tonight. If anybody has no questions to ask on their own. So you have a few options if you have a question. One, you can raise your hand. In the panel, you will see a raise hand option. So I will see that your hand is raised. I will unmute your microphone alone, allow you to ask the question, and then the brothers will answer. Or you can also type in the chat. There's a chat window. You can also type in the question. Some people sometimes feel awkward for everybody to see their question that they are asking, and they feel a little bit shy and so on. That's okay. So you can click on my name, double click on my name on the panel, Amir Mohammed, and the message will come to me only. So you message me if you have a question I don't want everybody to see, and I will read it out. If you feel comfortable, you can type it in the chat window. Everybody will see and will answer the question. And if you even feeling even more shy to do that, you could even send an email to the IDM's email account, and I will see it as well, and I'll read out the question during the call. There's a couple other things. So in terms of the answers, the brothers who are helping us to answer the questions, we know Ramadan is a few hours away. Everybody is very excited. Everybody wants to maximize their Ramadan. Everybody wants to make sure that they are doing everything correctly for Ramadan. So we have so many questions that people ask about different aspects of Ramadan, about fasting, about Zakah, and so on. So we'll try to cover as many questions. So the brothers who answer may be brief and try to answer as simply as they could. So I ask those of you who may be a little bit advanced to be patient with those who are new to Islam, who may have basic, simple questions. And if you need follow-up answers to the questions, you can raise your hand or you can put it in the chat window, right? And I want to also share that, some of the questions may be very technical, and it may be a challenge for the brothers to explain in a short space of time some of the technicalities regarding the answer. So they may, in fact, try to give you the simplest answer that they can share from their knowledge, and know as well that there are many opinions sometimes on one issue. So they will share what they know to be the strongest opinion in their view, and we should know that sometimes there are other views. So if you go outside the call and you get another view, that's fine. There are different views on different fixed issues as well. So before we get into the question, I just want to allow Brother Mirza just to say a few things before we actually get into the full set of questions. I'm going to ask Brother Mirza just to say a few words before we continue.
Okay, everybody, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let me just officially welcome you to the webinar, as Brother Amir did. And the webinar has been hosted by the Islamic Dawah Movement and the Trinidad Muslim League. The TML and IDM are like sister organizations and have been working together for many years. And we hope we could be able to partner with similar kinds of events in COVID and out of COVID, inshallah. A couple of quick words is that our ibadah, brothers and sisters, is really too important. And that we have to ensure that whatever we do in terms of our ibadah, our worship, is really done to please Allah and to increase the likelihood of it being accepted. We have no guarantee of acceptance, none. We have to beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for acceptance. However, to increase the likelihood of our acceptance and to gain the pleasure of Allah, two conditions must be met. One, our actions, our ibadah, meaning all of the things we do in fasting or in Hajj or in Zakat, any pillar of Islam, it must be sincerely done for the sake of Allah. So sincerity must accompany it, number one. Number two, it must be done in accordance with the way, the mannerism and the method of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm saying that to say this, that I'm familiar with some of the questions that were asked today, and inshallah, the Shayukh will be answering them. And you may be hearing some answers which may be generally new for some of you, maybe strange to some of you, especially what you may have grown up with. Our advice is that you really want to learn all that we can to make sure that the ibadah that we do, and in this case, and fasting we're talking about, is really in accordance with the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It may be different to what we probably would have known in the past. And therefore, we really don't want a chance that we die upon something, doing an action, doing an act of ibadah that is done incorrectly or without any evidence from Quran and Sunnah. So the brothers tonight, and this is why we decided to be able to get people who are in fact qualified, who have studied, and therefore they will be bringing responses to you with evidence from Quran and authentic narrations of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So even though it may be something you may hear, boy, how come the other Maulanas and Sheikhs tell me something else? Inshallah, we are trying to be able to present to you something that is authentic, and we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open our hearts and may He accept it from us. So the IDM has been existing for many years. TML has been around for a very long time. IDM has been around for more than 35 years, and we have a history of education and training and significant da'wah activities in Trinidad and Tobago. So we're looking forward to your support. This is not the first webinar. We have done a series of stuff. Alhamdulillah, the response to our webinars and programs online has been really tremendous. May Allah richly reward some of you from here and all of the others who have been attending. Actually, interestingly, we logged into some international stuff, and the people we have responding to some of our webinars is more people than what some of those international people have listening to, but Allah knows best. So we want to welcome you, and we look forward to partnering with TML again, and we're looking forward to your support over the coming years. I say not Ramadan, over the coming years for our events and activities, educational, social and recreational, and da'wah. So don't take in any time. Welcome. I pass you back over to Brother Amir, and he will inshallah host this session for tonight. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, shukran, jazakumullah khair, Brother Mirza. I just want to give Brother Farz an opportunity just to say a short welcome as well. So I'll just ask Farz, just to say a few words.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
So alhamdulillah, as Brother Mirza indicated, the TML and IDM has been partnering in many other activities similar like to this one that we have tonight. And again, the sole purpose is really to educate and bring the Muslims together in whatever we do and to see the pleasure of Allah. So we hope that this particular session would also enlighten each and every one of us. And again, we pray that Allah showers mercy and blessing on all of us, especially during the month of Ramadan, and also under the present situation and condition that we face ourselves in, that we continue to work together as one ummah, as one community, as one brotherhood, share with each other our resources, so that each one of us can be at the end of this month, inshallah, a better individual and more pleasing to Allah. So with viewers, again, I thank all those who would have taken the time to participate, and also the true presenters. Again, may Allah reward them immensely for sharing their knowledge with each and everyone, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran, jazakumullah khair, Brother Farz. Okay, so we'll get into the questions now. So let me start off by asking if anyone has any questions. You can raise your hand now and we'll take the questions. If not, we will go straight into the set questions that we have. All right, so I'm not seeing any hands raised. So we'll go into the questions that I have. So I'll display it on the screen as we would have done before. And I'll probably ask Sheikh Abdul Salam if he could start off. So I'll unmute the three brothers, Sheikh Abdul Salam, as well as Isa and Sheikh Asad. All right, so I'll ask Sheikh Abdul Salam if he could start off with the first question, which is this one. Can I use toothpaste while fasting? And what about mouthwash?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
I want to tell the brothers at IDM and the TML Jazakumullah khair for putting together such an important event tonight. And as previously you have also done, so that many of us can remind ourselves and other people can benefit of what is most important to them when it comes to their worship. Alhamdulillah. This question, can I use toothpaste while fasting? What about mouthwash? So the answer is yes, we can use toothpaste. We can use toothpaste, but I will just like to caution the brothers and sisters. I'm trying to be very brief here, right, with the answers, because as Brother Amir had mentioned that it is a lot of questions. So I'll try to be very brief, but if you have a follow-up question about the answers, then you can always raise your hand and ask in the chat, inshallah. So the answer is yes, you can use toothpaste, but be very careful, especially when after the suhoor time has passed, after the suhoor time had come to an end, and when you're brushing your teeth after that, because there are some people who do it before the suhoor time comes to an end, when you're brushing your tongue, be extra careful. Be extra careful that you do not swallow anything, right? So that is just one of the precautions. And mouthwash, it goes to the same thing. It goes to the same thing that you could use a mouthwash, but do not gargle, right? Because, you know, the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was talking about performing wudu, right? He said to gargle, you know, strongly, and to clean your nose, except for the fasting person, right? That is a famous hadith from the saying of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was explaining wudu. When you're making wudu outside, when we are not fasting, then we gargle, you know, as much as we can. But while we are fasting, and we should try to stay away from that, because, you know, mistake can happen, and then you can swallow, you know, some of the mouthwash. So the short answer, yes, the toothpaste is allowed, but just be very careful, especially when you're brushing your tongue. Wallahu alam, jazakumullah khair.
Shukran, jazakallah khair. Sheikh, could you take the next question immediately, which is this one? Can I swallow
Yes.
saliva while I'm fasting?
Yes. Can you swallow saliva while you're fasting? Yes, the answer to that is yes, that you can swallow your saliva. It means your saliva is part of what is inside your body. It is not something external that you put into your mouth. So if you have saliva in your mouth and if you swallow it, nothing wrong with that. Sometimes our throat becomes dry while we are fasting, well, most of the time. And if you swallow a little bit of your saliva, then nothing wrong. It does not break the fast. It does not nullify the fast. So yes, you can go ahead and swallow the saliva that you have. Wallahu alam. Jazakumullah khair.
Okay, shukran, jazakallah khair. I want to ask Brother Isa if you could take the next couple of questions, inshallah. So I'll unmute Brother Isa. Question is, a member of my Jamaat needs blood donation. Can I give blood while fasting?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillahi walhamdulillahi wa salatu wa salam ala rasulullah. Rather than I see that someone in the chat, they put a question there. And as much as possible to allow people to engage, I'd like to address those first.
Sure, no problem.
And that way I can pass the buck on this question. Before I start, I think it's an important thing to understand.
So let me just, before you continue, sir, let me just read the question for those who may
I'll read it. Okay, go
sure,
ahead.
You go ahead. Okay. So the question is from Brother Farouk. He says the Ramadan charts usually present a starting time 5 minutes earlier and a closing time 5 minutes later, meaning to end the fast 5 minutes earlier and to break the fast 5 minutes later. Is this correct? So that's the question for those of you who may not see it on the chat.
Yes, I just wanted to preclude any answers that I give or any of us give by just a reminder about the etiquette of ikhtilaf, of differing. It's an important thing to understand as Muslims that amongst the Ummah, amongst legitimate scholars of the past, all of us were aware of the four schools of thought, and even the legacy of those scholars in present and those who don't necessarily conform to any particular school, that when following the Quran and the Sunnah, it is possible on issues that are not what you call qat'i. They are issues which you can't have absolute answers on absolute certainty. On those issues, you have space for legitimate differing. The majority of issues in Islam, the issues that are of core importance for your practice of Islam and for your ability to to do what is necessary to please Allah and enter Jannah, that is plainly definite and certain. There isn't any differing about the fact that fasting is legislated, that there isn't any legitimate differing on the issue of whether fasting is legislated as to whether whether the salah, the 5 salawat are mandatory, um, and these types of issues. But there are issues where you're going to find legitimate scholars of the past and of the present, based on the evidences in front of them from the Quran and Sunnah, come to different conclusions. And in some of those cases, those differences are not something that you could really resolve. When you understand that, it's important to understand that the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, and I'll just go straight to translate to the English to the purpose of saving time, that every mujtahid, kullu mujtahidin musab. Well, sorry, I phrased that wrong, right? Kullu mujtahidin yu'jar, right? That every scholar who extends his effort in coming to a ruling in Islam that's based on the proper sources, that he is given a reward. And what we understand from that is that when different scholars and different imams who have the ability to go into detail and to extract rulings, when they come to different conclusions, that one should not disrespect another because of that difference. I think that's very important before we delve into some of these issues, because some of these issues you are going to find different scholars having different views. And what is important to understand is that when there is legitimate differing, there isn't any space for condemnation. One could say that one prefers a particular view and one believes a particular view to be stronger and give the evidence as to why they think that is stronger. But it is not appropriate to condemn, and by condemn here I mean regard someone as being sinful or doing something wrong or following their desires or whatever else, whatever accusation to the person could be made. It's not appropriate to do that. And I thought it was very suiting that we preclude any discussion about a lot of these nitty-gritty fiqh issues, nitty-gritty issues, rulings as far as worship is concerned in Islam, to understand that this is the angle that you need to be coming from. And it's something that the etiquette of the etiquette of the way that we as Muslims deal with each other is of utmost importance. Because sometimes the different opinions someone might have, inshallah, as I mentioned before from the hadith, is something that the scholar and those who follow the scholar, they are rewarded for. But someone's ghiba or someone's slander against someone's backbiting or harm to Muslims, that is something that there's no differing on, that is sinful. So it's important to put things in perspective. Okay, so let me get to the question that that Brother Amir read first, which was concerning the Ramadan charts. That some of them present a starting time 5 minutes earlier and a closing time 5 minutes later. Is this correct? Now, what I understand from that is that some of those I'm not too sure who developed those charts, but they put those timings in as a form of caution or to be safe. And generally, the principle that applies to the start of the fast is plainly stated in the Quran, right? وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. And eat and drink until the white line from the black line becomes clear to you from Fajr. Meaning, you are allowed to eat and drink up until the time of Fajr starts, until the break of dawn. So that there's a rule. When dawn starts is when you are no longer allowed to eat or drink. When you see on these calendars 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before, those, if it's clear on the calendar that they have a time for the start of dawn, and I'll make a comment about that after, that there's a start for the time of dawn, that there's the time that you really need to stop by. And the time before is just something that they say to be cautious. And it's not something that if you were to eat beyond that time, that you would be in any fault. Now, the concerning the time for breaking the fast and the time when you're allowed to eat up until, in an authentic hadith, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the people remain to be, and of course I'm just translating here the meaning of the hadith, people would remain to be in goodness as long as they hasten to break the fast, hasten to break the fast. And likewise, it is from the sunnah to have your suhoor, to have the pre-fasting, pre-dawn meal as late as possible. In both cases, we don't necessarily mean to be extreme. When breaking the fast, of course, you wait until sunset, that the sun has actually set, right? Hastening to break it before, of course, is not on the cards. As pertains to eating right up until the time. Now, the sunnah is to do it as late as possible, to not finish eating an hour, 2 hours before. That is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And I saw there's a question later on. I could probably deal with it right away concerning if you could eat the night before. Yes, all of that is fine. But the closer thing to the sunnah is to eat right up until, or to know that you have the opportunity to eat right up until the time that the fast starts. If you choose to be safe and finish 5 minutes before, there's no harm in that. And Allahu A'lam, that 5 minutes difference is not going to be something that's going to say that you've gone against the sunnah for stopping 5 minutes before. And Allah knows best. What I wanted to mention about the time though, and this is something that people need to be aware of, the time on those calendars, they tend to go by a calculation, and the calculation is based, if you have the program, I know some people have this software, and you're seeing the program, you could select different calculation methods. And the thing that differs amongst those calculation methods is the degrees under the horizon that they calculate, the degrees that the sun is under the horizon that they will consider to be the time when dawn starts. And that difference in degree is something that the different calculation methods do, and most of them are actually quite conservative, meaning that the time that they have is actually quite possibly before the actual time of dawn. Now, the actual time of dawn, the way to really know it is to go outside, completely clear day, you have nothing blocking you from seeing, and you look to see when you see the first light of dawn. Most of us won't be able to do that. So with that in mind, the safest thing to do is to use the calculation. But be aware that that calculation is something that is, you have different calculation methods. And what that means is that that time isn't necessarily exact. And when you have that in mind, it means that you can eat close up until the time, stopping 5 minutes before, inshallah, is not going to be against the sunnah, but eating beyond that 5 minutes is not going to be an issue either. It's only an issue if it is you eat until when dawn breaks, basically. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to mention on that issue. I think that was
All right.
about it.
Jazakallah khair. So could you take the next question quickly, and we'll move on to the next one, which I want to ask Sheikh Asad to take the next one.
Yeah, let's pass it on. I was already talking for about 15 minutes there. So.
All right. Well, let me ask Sheikh Abdul Salam to take this one, and I'll ask. I think the next one might be more appropriate for Asad. So, Sheikh Abdul Salam. a member of my Jamaat needs a blood donation. Can I give blood while fasting?
Brother Amir.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
I don't know
salam.
if you could hear me now.
Yeah, and you know, yeah.
Right. So again, I'm going to try to be very short. Anything that weakens the body, it is makruh, it is disliked for us to do that. And giving blood is also that is a process that you have to extract blood from your body, and it weakens the body. So this is something that is not recommended while we are fasting, because again, it weakens the body, and anything that falls under this, like it has other things that people sometimes want to go on, especially youngsters, want to go and play sports and do these things that weakens the body. I did all these things that disliked while we are fasting, because fasting is a worship, and we try to see how much strength we can keep in our bodies to do the ibadah, because our bodies are already weak by not eating the normal amount of meals that we usually eat. So doing additional things until weaken the body, that is also disliked. And wallahu alam. Again, I'm trying to be very short because of the amount of the questions.
Jazakallah khair. See, brother Faraz has his hand, so let me ask Faraz to take his question. Go ahead, Faraz.
You hear me?
Yes, hearing you.
Okay, just one question. For example, if there's someone uses, let's say, eye drops or airdrop, would that considered as one of the way of breaking the fast?
Okay, Sheikh Abdul Salam.
Right, again, I'm going to try to be very short. Eye drops and airdrops. So the short answer is no, it does not break the fast, because these drops are meant not to give you nutrients, and it's not a form of vitamins, for example, for your body that you get energy from. And most of the time that these drops, by the time they reach your throat, they're already kind of dissolved, right? So the short answer, no, you go ahead and use eye drops while you're fasting and airdrop, and it does not break or nullify the fast. Allahu alam.
Shukran. Sheikh, there's one question related to somebody's asking about cupping. So is it that the same principle of removing blood will apply to cupping as well?
Yes, the same principle will apply.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, shukran.
Jazak.
Sheikh Asad, I want to ask you to take the next question. So this was the first question actually we received before the webinar. Somebody asked, is there more barakah in engaging in a good deed that could be pursued as a group only for yourself, or encouraging other persons to do the same good deed? For example, sponsoring an iftar for 100 people. Is there more barakah in it for you to sponsor the entire iftar, or to encourage 10 people, including yourself, to split it?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I see many names were recognized among the participants, and I wish I could see you, but under these restrictions, we are all separated. So yeah, I saw this question, and so some of these questions, I will tell you, I prefer not to answer directly, and I'll try to give some guidance here, right? Now there's a hadith, and again we're just going to translate to because of the time, that the one who feeds a fasting person to help to provide food for him to break his fast, he receives the reward of that person's fast without decreasing the fasting person's reward, right? So the fasting person gets the reward of fasting that day, and you who provided the iftar, you also get the reward of that fasting. So I want to encourage people who are able to afford to sponsor iftar for other people, that please go ahead and do it. There's great reward in doing it. Of course, you have to also fast. It doesn't mean you are excused from fasting. If you are healthy and everything, you have to fast. No, and there's another hadith that whoever guides someone to a good deed, then he receives the reward of that good deed without decreasing the reward of the person who does it, right? So that's any good deed. So if you teach someone to pray, then every time that person prays, he gets the reward of praying, but you also get the reward of it, right? Without decreasing his reward. And similarly here, if you encourage people to do the good deed of providing iftar, then you get when they do it, you get the same reward, right? What I'm trying to say is both of these are avenues of goodness. Meaning one avenue is that you yourself provide iftar for 100 people, as the person suggested. And the other avenue is that you encourage other people to share among the 100, right? Both of these are avenues of goodness. And I know the question I want to know which one is which one has more barakah, right? But why? I will answer it with a question. Why are you asking that question in the first place? What you should do is take every avenue of goodness that you can, right? And every way of earning the rewards of Allah, go and pursue it. And for some people who are very wealthy, it may be more appropriate for them to sponsor a large iftar. And other people who they see that there's a need to encourage other people. They see that, other people are not aware of the reward of providing iftar. And if I encourage them, they can get involved in it and they will get the reward of it. So look at what is appropriate for your situation. And I encourage you, if possible, to do both, to do every possible act of goodness, every possible avenue of goodness, follow it up. So that would be my answer then.
All right, shukran jazakallah khair, Brother Asad. I want to ask Isa to take these two questions. Maybe you could answer them together. I have rheumatoid arthritis and need to take injections. Can I take injections while fasting? And a similar question, the Sahara dust affects my asthma. Can I use a Ventolin inhaler while fasting?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. I just want to append my agreement with what Sheikh Asad just said in the last answer. I read the question and was a little bit amused. And I think his answer is very much on point. Some questions like that really, an indirect answer is actually better. Concerning the first question concerning an injection, the principle. Now let's lay down the basic principle here. Anything that goes into your stomach. Now let me rephrase what I'm saying, right? Something that is, as Sheikh Abdul Salam suggested, or he hinted towards, when something is nutrition and when it goes into the stomach, that breaks the fast. That is something you're sure about. Concerning injections, there's a little bit of a difference concerning whether a nutritious injection with when I say injection, something inserted into the skin that provides nutrition, whether it breaks the fast or not. But the example given does not appear to be from that category of injections, and that, inshallah, would not be something that breaks the fast. If, as I said, the only time that an injection could possibly break the fast is if it's something in the nature of drips, where it provides nutrition. And that's an issue that there's difference amongst the scholars on. If you are on drips, as I said last time, I think you probably have bigger problems and you probably have an excuse not to fast, and probably should not be fasting. The second issue concerning Sahara dust and the asthma. Now, again, this is something, the inhaler, I've seen in answers that scholars have given, I've seen some level of detail on this answer depending on the nature of the inhaler. But as a general principle, what I've seen the majority of those I've read from on this issue say is that an inhaler, inshallah, does not break the fast, because what it does is it vaporizes what's on the inside and you're breathing it in, as opposed to it going down to the stomach. And because of that, because it's not something as nutritious, like it's not nutrition, and it's a medicine that is breathed in, it is akin to to inhaling something. If you were to smell something strong, some strong cologne or ether, or you were to smell, the smell of food or something, um, something like that will not break the fast because it's not something that enters the stomach. It's something that goes into the lungs, and Allah knows best.
All right, so there was a question in the chat as well, which asked about smelling incense. So I guess that will cover that as well.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So the next question was about eye drops,
Now,
and we.
just to add to that, it doesn't mean that one should throw caution to the wind when it comes to inhaling. For example, say, oh boy, when I smell it going down into my lungs, I'm gonna stand over the pot that my mother cooking and just inhale, you know, to satisfy your desire for food. That's not what we mean. We're talking about a sense that you have, it's natural, or things that you have a need towards. So don't misunderstand. If there's anyone who might take that route of understanding, don't misunderstand it to mean that.
Okay, so as you're on the topic of food, maybe you could take the next question, which is: I have an old mother who's very picky about food. Is it okay to taste food while I am fasting?
I find the first part of that question amusing, but an old mother who is very picky about food. Is it okay? I'm not too sure what impact the first part will have on the second part, but that issue about tasting food when fasting is something that has been spoken about from the early times. And there are a number of narrations. I don't know about a hadith on it, and perhaps Brother Asad or Sheikh Asad or Sheikh Abdul Salam could add to what I'm saying. But I know that there are narrations from the early Muslims that mention that tasting food and without swallowing it and spitting that back out, um, that is fine. That does not break the fast because, again, we just applying the same principle. You're not taking the food and swallowing it down into your insides. Now, of course, it will be done with a certain level of caution. So one has to be careful not to actually swallow the food. And if one were to taste the food for that purpose, when there's a need to taste the food, um, you only take a small amount. You're not going to fill the entire mouth full of food, chew it up, and then spit it back out. Again, one has to be reasonable here. So tasting food for the purpose of determining whether the food is good or not and spitting it back out is fine. The little remnants of taste that might remain afterwards, after you spit out and you're not intentionally swallowing food, that those little remnants, it's inshallah something that is yukta, for it's forgiven, meaning that it doesn't break the fast, and that is in line with the principle that al qalilu yuktafar or ghufira. That's a fiqh principle that when you have something in very small amounts, and I mentioned last time, it's called the minimus principle in English parlance, or Latin parlance. That when you have a very small amount of something, that's something that you know don't um don't let the whisperings of shaitan, you know, have you worrying about every little thing, whether the eye drops, you get a slight taste somewhere, whether that broke your fast, or when you're brushing your teeth after you spit out all of the toothpaste and you have a little remaining mint taste, you're wondering if that's going to break your fast. That type of what you call waswasa is something I want to avoid. When there are tiny amounts of something, that's something inshallah that's forgiven and is not going to break the fast. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair. Sheikh Abdul Salam, we have two questions related to women's menses. So I just want to ask you to take these two. So this is the first one. Can I take pills to delay my menses during Ramadan because I want to get all my fasting?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Again, I'm going to try to be very short with my answers. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has created us in a best of form. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said in Surah At-Tin that we have created mankind in the best of forms. Whatever happens to our body that is natural, then it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then for the sisters, alhamdulillah, this is actually, what do you call a rukhsa? Like like an ease that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made for the sisters. And if your intention is to get the most of my fasts, right, that is good, alhamdulillah. But I don't think we should, many of the scholars have commented on this, like Sheikh al-Usaymin, his opinion was that, the sister should not take a pill that will, delay her menses, because this is something that is a rukhsa from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is not encouraged for sisters to take pills or delay their menses so that they can fast all the, the sisters were given time after the month of Ramadan to complete the fasts, and we should really take that. Just as while we are traveling and we have the rukhsa of also not fasting, this is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should not, take external medications to change our bodies just because we want to receive this, right? This is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should not take any medications to delay that, and Wallahu a'lam.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. So the next question, if my menses end one night, do I need to make ghusl before my fast begins at the break of dawn the next day?
Yes, it is best that you make ghusl. That is a closer thing to the sunnah. That is what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam encouraged. But if for some reason you cannot, for example, water is not available, or not that you have minor excuses, you're feeling cold and you're feeling lazy and you don't want to go in the bathroom to go and bathe late at night, right? That is minor excuses. So yes, you should make your ghusl before. But if there were any major reasons for you not to make the ghusl, then you could do it after the break of dawn the next day. Wallahu a'lam.
All right, Jazakallah khair. If you could take this one as well. If I hug or kiss my wife out of affection and there's some secretion from my private parts, does this break my fast?
I know this is probably a lot of young brothers and sisters, this probably affects them a lot when they think that they have to stay away from their husband and their wife. No, alhamdulillah, that Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said in the Quran, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرِ. He wants ease from you and not hardship, even out of fasting. So hugging or kissing one's wife out of affection, that is allowed. That is okay, you can do that. However, we have to be very careful. There are certain, individuals who are very weak and cannot control their emotions, like, when it comes to the opposite sex, especially their husband and their wives, and it can lead to other things that, and then you do not even engage in it in the first. But if you're strong and capable and you can hold back yourself, right? So that is the first part of the question. The second part, if the preseminal fluid flows, that does not break the fast. It does not break the fast. However, as I have mentioned, if you continue to do it and the feelings get stronger, then you need to really stop, because it can lead to breaking of the fast. So the short answer, yes, it is allowed for you to kiss and hug your wife and your husband, and if the preseminal fluid flows, it does not break the fast. But we also need to be very careful while we are fasting. Wallahu alam, jazakumullah khair.
Shukran, Jazakallah khair. Go ahead, Asad.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Sheikh Abdul Salam said about the last question, that if your menses end in the night and you wake up in the morning, that of course you should take the bath as soon as possible, right? But if the time, just to clarify, what you were saying is, if you only have time to eat suhoor before the break of dawn, well, eat suhoor, and then you bathe after break of dawn, you bathe, and then you pray Salatul Fajr, right? So I wanted to extend that the same thing applies if a man and his wife had sexual relations during the night, so they wake up in a state of impurity. Again, you can begin fasting in a state of impurity. That's fine. If break of dawn comes and you haven't taken the bath, the ghusl as yet, then that's fine. But of course you have to make the ghusl before you pray Fajr, right? And of course the better thing is to do it before, as soon as you wake up, that you do the ghusl. Yes, but sometimes you may not have time to do that, you only have time to eat some suhoor, right? Similarly, the one who has a wet dream during the night, then he or she wakes up in a state of impurity. So the same thing applies, right? That you can begin the fast in a state of impurity, but of course you have to do the ghusl before Salatul Fajr, right? And I mean, if it's possible to do the ghusl before break of dawn and then eat suhoor and so on, yes, yeah, that of course is good, right?
All right.
And then uh, about the question about hugging and kissing and so on. I know some people find that's an embarrassing question, but I wanted to actually commend the person who asked that, because these things happen to everyone. And one of the things that breaks the fast is actual sexual intercourse or actual ejaculation, deliberate ejaculation, right? And so people need to know these things. Whereas pre-seminal fluid, I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. Pre-seminal fluid is a fluid that comes out of the private part without orgasm and before the orgasm, before ejaculation. When a person just becomes sexually excited, there's a fluid that comes out, right? And that's the pre-seminal fluid. And that no one should feel embarrassed or ashamed about asking these questions if you have to know. The people at the time of the Prophet ﷺ would ask him these questions about concerning sexual matters, because they needed to know how you clean yourself, how do you keep yourself pure, and so on. And the Prophet ﷺ, and on one such occasion, when a woman came and asked him, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna Allah la yastahi min al-haq," that indeed Allah is not ashamed of the truth. Indeed, Allah is not ashamed of the truth. Right? So I just wanted to commend the person who asked that.
All right,
Sorry for
Jazakallah
taking up the
khair.
time.
That's okay. There was a brother Shiraz. You had your hand up, so you put it back down. So I'm not sure if I'm not seeing brother Shiraz actually anymore. So I'm not sure if he probably got cut off. So he'll come back. All right. So Asad, could you take this question? I was a little bit of a technical question. You may be able to summarize it without asking Isa to go into too much details. I heard that the person who is traveling is exempted from fasting. What qualifies him as a traveler?
Yeah, well, Isa is probably better qualified to answer the question, but I will try to summarize, right? There is much difference of opinion about what qualifies a person as a traveler. And as Isa mentioned, please, there's no need for rancor and for insulting people because they have different opinions. The well-known opinion that many of you may know is that you travel more than 80 kilometers, right? And that if you go on a journey that's more than 80 kilometers, and that qualifies you as a traveler. If you wish to go with that opinion, then that's fine. That is an opinion of many of the scholars. And there are many different statements about the distance you have to travel to be a traveler and so on. There is one opinion, and I will tell you this is the one that makes the most sense to me, but again, I could be wrong. And there are opinions by major scholars that are different than this, but this is the one that makes sense to me. That what qualifies a journey as someone on a journey as being a traveler is that the journey in the understanding of the people, of the time and the culture, in their understanding, they understand that this is a proper journey. So that, for example, if I live in St. Augustine and I'm going to, say, San Juan, I'm taking a Maxi on the priority bus route, and it will take just 5 or 10 minutes to get there and back. The distance may be far, right? I mean, if you have to walk that distance, that's quite a distance. But we know that this is, in our time and in our culture, this is a very easy journey, and you don't make any preparations for it. You don't pack a bag, you don't pack food. You just go out your house and jump in a maxi and you go. So that doesn't qualify as a traveler. And in fact, in today's day and age, a distance a journey of 80 kilometers may not qualify as being a traveler because it is something routine for some people, right? But at a journey where you make some preparation for the journey, you pack some food, you pack some clothes and so on. And in the cultural understanding, everybody understands this is not some trivial trip. This is an actual journey. Then that is what qualifies you as a traveler, regardless of the length regardless of the distance, right? That is the one that makes more sense to me. And I will answer a question that wasn't asked actually, that the person didn't ask, but perhaps needs to be addressed. That yes, traveling exempts you from fasting. So therefore, in Ramadan, to get away from the fasting, should I travel? Should I deliberately go on a journey in order to run away from the fasting? Because, you know, after Ramadan, then you have to make up the days, but you can spread it out. And so it becomes easy. And you wait until a day when the weather is cool, and then you fast during that time. The answer is no. That yes, traveling is a rukhsa and a concession that Allah has given us to make things easy for us, but we should not go out of our way to deliberately put ourselves in a situation to take advantage of that rukhsa. That is if you go on a journey that you really have to go on, right?
Okay,
I hope
shukran.
that, I don't know if, brother, if Sheikh Abdul Salam or Isa has anything to add about that. Right?
All right, well, let's move on. I've seen the unmuted. So let me ask Isa to take this question. What should I do if I accidentally break my fast thinking it was Maghrib time, but it was actually not Maghrib time?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Concerning what Asa just mentioned, he asked if we had any opinion. I completely agree with what he said and endorse. I also hold the same opinion as him. And I also endorse what he said about this being an issue of differing, that you have a lot of different valid opinions. Big scholars who say otherwise. On this question, right. When it comes to accidentally breaking the fast, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he mentioned, or there's a narration that is in the Sahihain, is authentic, that the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, whoever forgets while he's fasting, so he eats or he drinks, then let that person finish his fast, because it's only as if Allah has fed him and given him to drink. And generally, we know the principle in Islam that رفع عن لأمتي الخطأ والنسيان وما استكره عليه. That the ummah, the community, Muslims, everyone is forgiven for things that they do out of error or out of forgetfulness, or what they've been forced to do. They're under duress. So in this case, this is just as if you were to mistakenly, eat something earlier in the day. The same principle would apply. You just stop eating as soon as you realize that it wasn't time as yet, and you continue fasting until it's the actual time to break your fast, and the fast will be valid, inshallah. I see a question on this side concerning cupping, and well, what I would say to that, to Azuri, is that it is an issue that there's difference on, and I don't think it's something that we could resolve here. I think Sheikh Abdul Salam made a comment earlier concerning the weakening of the body. I think maybe he might want to answer that question, perhaps.
All right, Sheikh Abdul Salam, want to add anything?
Right. What was the question again? I'm not seeing the question.
Oh, I'm reading from the chat. Someone asked a question. I'm aware there are authentic a hadith that says that cupping breaks the fast and cupping does not break the fast. Can you all shed some light on this?
All right. I'm not seeing that question. As I have mentioned, that this is also one of the things that weakens the body, and we should, because of the large amount of blood that is extracted from one's body when the cupping is made, then we should stay away from that. And that, again, it has the opinions of the different scholars, difference of opinion within the scholars, the ikhtilaf, but the stronger opinion, like Sheikh Ibn Baz and Sheikh Usaymin, these are the contemporary scholars in, generally considered in our time. They were asked, and they had looked at all of the ahadith that mentioned, and they also gave the opinion that cupping and extracting blood and meaning giving blood for someone else should not be done while we are fasting. Again, we can look into all of the hadith and go through each one of the scholars' point of view, but that will take a very long time. So the qawl rajih, according to many of the scholars, is that we should stay away from that. And the brother could, whoever asks a question, brother, I think it's brother Zuri, whoever it is, you could contact me and I will go through it in details, inshallah. Wallahu alam. Jazakallah khair.
Shukran.
Just to add to the original question asked that somebody needed a blood transfusion, somebody from the Jama'ah, right? So I'd like to suggest if it is possible to donate the blood after Maghrib then, right? I don't know how possible that is. So that, you could help the person by donating blood to them. If that is possible, and go ahead and do that. But again, I don't know how possible that is with how the hospitals collect the blood and so on.
Yeah. Okay. Shukran. Jazakallah khair. Sheikh Hassan, if you could take this one as well. The Prophet ﷺ says that the dua is accepted at the time of breaking the fast. When is that time? Before breaking the fast or while I am breaking the fast?
All right, good. So there are two hadith about the fasting person and his fast, right? There's a hadith in Sunan ibn Majah, where the Prophet ﷺ said that there are three persons whose supplications are not rejected. And one of them is waswaimu hatta yuftir, the fasting person until he breaks his fast. So that means all throughout the day when you're fasting, that the dua is not rejected. And I encourage everyone, please, during Ramadan, during the day while you are fasting, please make lots of dua and ask Allah for what you want, right? And then there's another hadith also in Sunan ibn Majah that indeed the fasting person has a supplication, inda fitrihi, meaning when he's breaking his fast, the fasting person has a supplication that is not rejected, right? So what does inda fitrihi means? I've seen statements from the scholars that means before breaking the fast, just before breaking the fast, right? However, I've also seen statements that inda fitrihi means before breaking the fast, while you're breaking the fast, and just after breaking the fast as well, that it can include all of this. But what I will encourage the person who asked this question to do is make lots of dua, right? And it seems logically that the best time is just before breaking fast. That hadith refers to just before breaking fast, as some scholars have pointed out. The reason being that you are still in a state of fast. You are at the state when you are the hungriest and you're the most tired for the entire day of fasting, right? Because this is the end of the fast. So you're the most tired, you're the most weak. And this is the time when you will be approaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then in the highest state of humility, because your body is weak and you are fatigued and so on, right? And you will beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with more sincerity in such a state. But there's nothing wrong also with making dua while you are breaking the fast. And dua doesn't mean that you raise your hands and you make some long dua. And so dua can mean simply saying astaghfirullah, oh Allah, I seek your forgiveness, right? Or even in English to say, oh Allah, forgive me, while you are eating, while you're breaking your fast, no problem. And also immediately after the fast, to make some sincere dua, right? The important thing is that you make dua at the time of breaking fast, whether it's before or slightly after.
All right. So we have a number of questions still remaining, in addition to what people may send in. So let me see how we could get through. So I'll ask Sheikh Abdul Salam if you could take these two, which are somewhat related. The first one is, my wife is breastfeeding our newborn baby and she must eat in order to help her milk supply. Does she have to pay fidya or make up the fast after Ramadan? And there's a similar one, so let me read the second one as well. This one talks about surgery. After the surgery, one has to take medication, antibiotics, painkillers, etc. I must eat to take the medication. Do I have to give fidya or make up the days after Ramadan? So both have to do similar situations.
Bismillah. So the first one, I'm going to take that. My wife is breastfeeding, that one. So if you're breastfeeding your baby, and you also, again, your body will become weak and you need to eat and stuff like that for your body to produce milk to supply for the baby, then you're exempted from fasting, and how you should make up for it. This is also a question where the scholars had differed. Some of them said you have to pay fidya, some of them say you make up, but the closer, the more correct opinion, and inshallah closest to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, it is that you should make up the fast after the month of Ramadan. So the best thing for you to do after the month of Ramadan, the days that you have missed, so if it's the entire month, then you make up the fasts, and that is the better thing to do, inshallah. Wallahu alam. And the second question, I'm trying to move fast because
Yes, of course,
time.
yeah.
I just had a necessary surgery, and my recuperation is expected to take about 1 month. Most of Ramadan, and I have to take medication, antibiotics. Yes, again, as I have mentioned, the general principle is that when it comes to fasting, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He, especially for the ones who are sick and weak, you know, not to be, you know, go through hardship. This does not mean that the younger ones and say, well, you know, it'll be very hard for me if I don't eat lunch. No, we don't mean that. Okay, so in this case here, you, after the month of Ramadan, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said in the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخْرَى. The Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, when it comes to the fasting in the month of Ramadan, that one who is sick and one who is traveling, then after the month of Ramadan, you make up for the fast. So the better thing is that if you're sick in the month of Ramadan, and if the most of the month of Ramadan you only have you got a few days in Ramadan to fast, the better thing and the best thing it is, so after the month of Ramadan, if you feel back good, alhamdulillah, inshallah, then you make up the days of fast. And even after the month of Ramadan and you continue to become sick and weak and stuff like, then the fidya comes in. But the better thing and the best thing to do it is to make up the days after the month of Ramadan. Wallahu a'lam.
Okay, and on that point, there was a question earlier in the chat where someone asked for clarification on what is fidya. Could you explain briefly for those who may not know what fidya is?
So again, briefly, not in details, fidya is that, like, it's an expiation that you pay. There is something that you pay in return of the fast that the compulsory fast of the month of Ramadan, because of valid reasons, like extreme sickness, or you become so weak, and old age, and other sickness that leads to one body not able to fast, then you pay fidya. So what is for this fidya? What do you pay? It is to feed one person every day for the days of Ramadan that you have missed. So for example, if you miss 10 days in the month of Ramadan, then you have to feed one person for 10 days, or you feed 10 persons to make up for the amount of numbers of days that you have missed. And that is basically what fidya is. It is also encouraged that you do not give money. I just wanted to mention that because we live in a time where people just want to hand out and monies. It is better that you give the staple food of the country or the community. And then you actually, you send, if you can actually cook the food, at least the groceries, but that should be given. And the average of that is probably 1.5 kg to what we have in our time now. And that should be paid in fidya. Again, I'm being very brief and everything.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. So there's a follow-up question somewhat, which is the next one, which is the person saying, I have an illness which prevents me from fasting. I'm also very poor and can barely afford to feed myself, far less to feed another person to make up for my missed fast. Will I get punished for not fasting?
As long as you have intention, innamal a'malu binniyat. That is one of the famous saying of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that your actions are judged by intention. First of all, if you're ill, you still try to fast. If you're very ill and you cannot try to fast, there are certain people who, look for the smallest excuse. Like, for example, you have people who say, well, I just get a real headache when we are fasting. And if they experience that once or twice, they tell themselves, you see, for the rest of my life, every year, I cannot fast. So we're not talking about that kind of sickness. We're talking about severe sickness. Right? If it's prevent you from fasting, then the next thing what you do is try to pay the fidya, as I have mentioned, that you for the poor and needy. But if you're also very poor, if you're very poor and you can hardly feed yourself, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows your situation. He knows your situation. He knows your body. He knows your standing. But whatever little you can give in charity, and this is important. You don't have to, if you cannot give a whole meal, right? If you can, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in the famous hadith that, save yourself from the hellfire, even if it's piece of a date, right? Give even something small. So if you cannot give a whole meal, right? If you can give something very small to a poor person, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows your condition, knows your financial status, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is merciful. He will not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not punish you, for not doing. But have the intention, give whatever small you can give, even if it is very least, still give something, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Jazakumullah.
Jazakallah khair. All right, so let me ask Isa to take the next question. I am going to skip one or two. What if I wake up after the break of dawn? Can I still have some coffee and light meal for my suhoor?
The long answer and the short answer is no. Next
Okay.
question.
So what if a person does wake up without suhoor? Is their fast invalid?
No, their fast would not be invalid because suhoor is just something that's recommended. Once as you stay away from eating, drinking, and sexual activity, meaning once as you don't have anything that causes you to ejaculate, or if there's any penetration. When I speak about sexual activity, that's what I mean. Once as you stay away from those things, from dawn until sunset, the fast is valid with the intention, of course.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Sheikh Asar, I want to ask you to take these two questions, please, because they're somewhat related. I have some relatives who are fasting, but they don't perform the daily salah. Will that fasting be accepted? One. And the second one is similar. I don't currently wear hijab, but I want to, and I pray to Allah that He makes it easy for me. Someone told me that it does not make sense for me to fast because I don't wear hijab. Will my fasting be accepted?
Okay, so I was actually discussing these questions with Isa before the sessions, right? Because the answers to these questions require a great deal of detail to be provided, but from the questioner. That what's
Right.
the
Context.
what's the exact situation here? Is the person, does this person never pray? Do they pray sometimes? Do they pray only in Ramadan? So you need to know all the background information. But so I'm not going to give a direct answer because I don't know the context of the question. I don't know the background of the people, these relatives. What's the full information about them? When do they pray and how do they pray and so on, right? Or if they pray at all. But I'd just like to give some general statements, right? Understand that Salah is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, right? And it is compulsory on every sane adult Muslim. Unlike fasting, which is excused for the one who is sick, Salah is compulsory even upon the sick person, even upon the one who is traveling, even though it is allowed for him to shorten it and so on. But even the sick person who is confined to the bed, he must pray while lying down on the bed, right? By just making some simple actions or even by moving his eyes, if that is what he's capable of. This is the importance of Salah. Salah is the center of the deen, right? That is the primary external aspect of the deen that everybody identifies with Islam. No, I am not going to answer the question, will the fasting be accepted? And I'll tell you why. There are, unfortunately, people who rush to that statement and to give that fatwa that this person's fasting will not be accepted and that person's fasting will not be accepted. They are hasty towards giving that fatwa. And similarly, the question about the sister who is struggling to wear hijab. There are people who are hasty to pass a fatwa and to give a hukum, a judgment that your fasting will not be accepted, right? Who are you to say that, right? You need to know all the, as I said, all the details surrounding the person who has found themselves in this situation. No, I'm sure that some people here who have who let me just stop a minute, because um, there's somebody in the chat who just mentioned when fasting could be shortened. No, what I said was salah could be shortened during a journey. So please note, fasting is not shortened. Fasting is from break of dawn until Maghrib, right? Okay, so I'm sure that many of you in this session, maybe you have heard of the ruling that the one who abandons prayer it has become a disbeliever, right? And yes, that is in fact a statement of many of the scholars, but with details, but with details. Some of them say this applies to the one who has completely abandoned salah. Others will say even if they perform salah sometimes and don't perform sometimes, and so on. And I don't want to get into these details, and I don't want to get into the differences among them. What I want to encourage people is, please don't be hasty in passing judgment on people, especially when it comes to issues of iman and kufr, the issues of the person being a believer or a disbeliever. Please don't be hasty in that. We have seen where that leads to. We have seen in Iraq and in Syria, ISIS took up that mentality. The ISIS people took up that mentality of declaring who was a believer and who was not a believer. And we saw what it led to. We saw the destruction that it led to. Please don't go down that path. And we also, as Muslims in Trinidad, we have to understand the situation that we are in, and we have to understand the society that we are in. It is unfortunate, but it is a reality that we, you know, Islam has been here for a long time, over 100 years, and in fact over 400 years, because the first wave of Muslims came with the Africans, and throughout that time, some people have become weak in their practice of Islam. And that happens when you have an immigrant community. You see it happening right now in the States, where the practice of Islam has weakened with each generation. So yes, that has happened. And you have factors going on like intermarriage between Muslims and non-Muslims, and all many other factors that have led to this situation that we have, where there are people who don't pray. They ascribe to Islam, they call themselves Muslims, but they either don't pray, or they pray sometimes, or they will pray only in Ramadan, right? Yes, that happens. It is a reality that we have to live with. And what I am encouraging the person who asked this question, who has relatives who are not fasting, who fast, sorry, but they don't pray. Listen, don't, it is not important to give the correct hukum on that person, whether they are Muslim or not Muslim. It is not important to give the correct hukum, will their fasting be accepted or not. You know what is important? What is important is to get them to pray, to encourage them to pray, because praying is a pillar of Islam that the deen cannot be established without. And you have to look at the positive side, that they are fasting in Ramadan, which means that they have the spark of Iman in them. They have some remnant of Iman in them. And you have to capitalize on that. Use that as a springboard and encourage them. Look, clearly you want to please Allah by fasting in Ramadan. So why don't you do what is essential and what is fundamental by praying, and encourage them to pray? Similarly, the sister who said she wants to wear hijab, she doesn't currently wear hijab. Sister, I encourage you. Clearly, you have the desire to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you said that you want to do it, and you are asking Allah to make it easy for me. I don't know what your circumstances are. I know that there are many sisters who are struggling with this, and maybe they have family problems and no one in their family wears hijab, and it's very difficult for them, or somebody is putting pressure on them not to wear hijab and so on. Allah knows what is your situation. I encourage you to wear hijab, and I encourage you to continue fasting. And please ignore the people who say it doesn't make sense for you to fast and not wear hijab. Again, don't rush to judgment with these things. It is not important to pass the correct hukum on the sister, whether her fasting is accepted or not. It is more important to encourage her to wear hijab and to encourage her to fast, right? So I know I took up a lot of time stating that, but please, I can't answer the question directly, but I want to give some guidance on the attitude that we must have
Yes, agreed.
with people who are struggling with their faith and who are struggling with their practice of Islam, that we should try to encourage them instead of just, you know, giving the hukum, right?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, and I'll tell you, it may be that in some cases their fasting is not accepted, but that is between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is it your job to declare that their fasting is not accepted? No, your job on this earth is to encourage them towards goodness, encourage them to pray, encourage the sister to wear hijab.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, so we have a few questions on tarawih and tahajjud, so I want to ask Sheikh Abdul Salam. I can't remember who I heard from last, but let me ask Sheikh Abdul Salam. I'm going to combine 3 questions about tarawih and ask you to comment on them. So the first one is, can you explain how to do tarawih at home with my family? That's one. The second one is basically asking if I want to lead my family in tarawih and recite longer surahs, can I hold the Quran in my hand? And the third one is, my 12-year-old son attends Maktaba, knows more surah than me. Can he lead us in tarawih? So how to do tarawih? Can you use the Quran in your hand during tarawih? And can a young boy, 12-year-old, for example, lead in tarawih?
All right, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm going to take the first one. Can you explain how to do tarawih at home with my family? So tarawih, basically, it is a sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we all know that we engage in the month of Ramadan. It's called a night prayer. And how to perform it? It is performed just like as how we do it in the masajids. You have, you know, after the Isha Salah, some masjid, well, most masjid do it after the Isha Salah. Tarawih also can be prayed at the, you know, the last 1/3, the latter 1/3 of the night. So how it is prayed just like how we are accustomed praying it. There is no azan, there is no iqama, and you perform units of 2 rakats each. Right? And we know they have the difference of the opinion of the scholars, but there's 8 rakah or 20 rakah. We don't have the time to, you know, go through all that details. So Tarawih is actually encouraging this time because of the pandemic we are in right now, the situation. It is encouraged to have Salatul Tarawih Jama'ah, and this is very important. So we have it as a congregation at our home with our families, right? Husband, wife, children, you know, the family have a congregation. Don't let, you know, everybody pray, you know, the bigger one pray by themselves and the younger ones pray by themselves. No, to have it in Jama'ah. So the first thing, it is a Sunnah Muakkada, and we pray it in Jama'ah. And how do you pray it? Well, the 2 rakah by 2 rakah. What it leads to our second question. It seemed that we have to pray Tarawih at home this year. I want to lead my family in Tarawih and recite longer surahs. Can I hold the Quran in my hand and read while Salah? Just right. So I'm going to take the first part of it. I want to lead my family in Tarawih and recite long surah. Well, it is good that you have to read. You want to recite with your family. Recite longer. Why we want to recite longer? There might be 2 reasons. I mean, we want to probably feel the Tarawih and pray longer in our congregational and Salah. Can I hold the Quran? And this is also, holding the Quran also has differences of opinion within the scholars. Some of the scholars do not allow it, and some scholars allow it. And they say that if it helps you to concentrate, and because it is a Sunnah Salah, then it is allowed. So it has the differences of opinion within the scholars. But longer surahs, right? Again, as Sheikh Asad said, we want to know why some of the details of the questions. Why would people ask? And from what angle they will ask this question? They want to recite longer surahs. Tarawih does not mean that we have to finish the entire Quran. And you know, many people also become concerned and they ask, you know, when people are rushing down the Quran in Tarawih Salah with the objective of finishing the entire Quran. And let us make this Ramadan, you know, a different one. And different, it can mean that it can be better. It can be better for us, that we make our salah, better. And making our salah better does not mean that we have to recite longer surahs in it, but we can have more khushu and khudu, peace and tranquility in our salah by reciting the correct tajweed, by pondering over the ayats when we recite. All these things can make our tarawih better. Okay? And the last question is, my 12-year-old son attends maktab and knows more surahs than me. Can he lead us in tarawih at home? And fifth, it is encouraged that we help grow our youngsters, in taking on responsibilities. But the short answer is that if he is baligh, then we go back to the basic principles, of leading. The male of the home, the senior person should be the leader. Right? If the child is baligh, meaning that he is mature, then he can lead the salah. He can lead the salah when he is mature. But
When you
if
say
he is
mature, you mean reach the age of puberty, yes?
reach the age of puberty, that's
Right.
what I mean. Reach the age of puberty, then that person should lead the salah, the tarawih salah, and not for encouragement for the younger ones. Then we can have them practicing in tarawih salah, because it is sunnah salah. But the deferred salah, no, it should be better that you have the adult leading the salah. Wallahu alam.
Shukran. There was also a question that came in via WhatsApp where someone asked if there's anything that should be recited after 4 rakats of tarawih, which we know is a common custom in the communities. I don't know if you want to mention.
Yeah, well, I will just touch on that. That dua is not from the authentic sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to have that. And there is a specific dua. I think many masajids throughout the Caribbean, and they recite, and that is not from the authentic sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, there was a little longer break after the 4 rakah rather than the other rakah, the 2 rakats. Then you can make zikr, make dua in that. But if to say that there is a specific dua from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, no, there is no specific dua, and we should make our open duas.
Okay. Shukran, jazakallah khair. Okay, so we just have a few more minutes. I'm going to pick out a few more questions. We have a couple on Zakaah I want to make sure to cover. I just want to ask Isa, there are a couple questions related to Tarawih, Tahajjud, and Witr. So I'm just going to show you both questions and ask you to combine your answer as briefly as possible, inshallah. So this one says, should I pray Tarawih and Tahajjud or both? What is the difference? Somebody in the chat also asked if Tahajjud can be brought forwards. And the second question is, if I pray Tarawih at home and end with Witr, can I still wake up and pray Tahajjud? So I'll ask Isa if you could briefly as possible cover these two.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Alaikum salam.
The difference between Tarawih and Witr, I don't know that, sorry, Tarawih and Tahajjud. The Prophet ﷺ said, Salatul Layli, Mathna Mathna, that the prayer in the night is 2 by 2. So if one wants to pray voluntary prayers in the night, they pray 2 rakat, give salams, then 2 more, and you continue like that. As for the terminology between Tarawih and Tahajjud, I don't see the point into getting into technicalities. I could tell you what is the terminology that people use. I don't know if that will answer the question, which is that normally people refer to Tarawih as being the prayer that is done in the early part of the night, and then they refer to Tahajjud as being in the last part of the night, perhaps in reference to the ayah in the Quran that mentions وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَتَهَجَّدْ بِهِ. But I don't know if that is of any effect. I don't know if Sheikh Asad or Sheikh Abdul Salam wants to add anything to that. The question about whether if one could still pray after Witr, yes, inshallah. The recommendation in the Sunnah that which be the last prayer in the night is it's not something that's mandatory. It's recommended. So one can pray voluntary prayers 2 by 2 after witr if one pleases. And I believe that there are narrations by the Prophet.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. So there's somebody with a hand up. So let me see if there's a question related to this. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ali.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah, I just want to clarify the part with the tarawih and the tahajjud, right? From my understanding that I read so far, and I heard the scholars have mentioned, they say the tarawih that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam performed, right, was the same tahajjud, right? But because of Ramadan month, he did it in Ramadan month, right? And then he did it for 2 nights or 3 nights, and then he stopped, right? But the whole issue about it, they say that the Tarawih is the Tahajjud, is Qiyamul Layl, right? Is the Tahajjud. So the time that people want to read it, like if you want to perform it after the Isha Salat, right? You perform how much, if it's 8 or 12 or 20 rakat, whatever it is. And then if you don't want to perform it then, and you want to perform it in the third part of the night, you perform it tahajjud salat, it is the same thing. So I don't know if you could shed some light on that and explain it further, right? So we could have a better understanding of it.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. I think Lisa, I don't know if you want to add anything. I thought you were particular now.
Yeah, I think I kind of covered it. I mean, as I said, I don't know what practical, what is the practical result of making
benefit,
the practical benefit of differentiating. The basic thing is what I mentioned before, and that prayer any night is recommended, especially during Ramadan, and you pray as much as you're able to.
Right.
And prayer in the last part of the night is particularly because of the solitude and having that personal relationship with Allah in the quiet of the night is something that's highly recommended.
All right. Could you? Sorry, go ahead.
There was something that I saw somebody asked that we didn't answer. I don't know if someone else wants to take it, but it was concerning if the person is needy, if the fidya is still upon them. I think it was
Abdul Salam commented on it. So he said the person should try to give as much as they could, and Allah knows their situation. I want to ask you to take this question now because we're almost at the end. If I sleep through on Salah, say Dhuhr, and wake up at Asr, which should I pray first?
Generally, you try to maintain order between the salawat. The evidence for that is because of the order that they've been mentioned in the Quran. And you pray Dhuhr before you pray Asr.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. And Sheikh Abdul Salam, I would like for you to take, let me ask Asr because there's one that may be a little more technical I can ask you. I usually go to the bank and withdraw cash to pay my Zakah in Ramadan. Given the COVID-19 pandemic, could I defer my Zakah payment to avoid the risk of going out and contracting the virus? So Asr, I'll ask you to start off, and if your other brothers want to add, they could do so.
Generally, the Zakah is due when 1 year has passed on the wealth that you have saved, right? So most people, they pay their Zakah at an appointed date each year, and many people use Ramadan as that date because it's easy to remember and so on, right? And in general, it is not permissible to defer the Zakah payment when the time has come, right? In general, but the scholars have said that if there's some extenuating circumstance, then yes, you can delay it. And this is one such case where it has become impossible to actually go and get the money, right? It has become impossible or very, very difficult to actually go get the money to pay the Zakah. I would encourage the person asking the question, though, to please investigate online banking. That with online banking, you can stay in your house and you can transfer the payment, but then you would have to pay the Zakah to somebody who has an account, right?
Okay, Jazakallah. Sheikh Abdul Salam, if you could take the next one.
I just want to add something to what Sheikh Asad said there, which is that in this time, we see a lot of good effort by the Muslims to give charity and sadaqah. Because I'm talking about by this time the fact that we have this pandemic going on, and you have a lot of people who have lost their livelihoods. So in Ramadan, the Prophet ﷺ used to be generous and even more generous. In Ramadan is a sunnah that we should follow, especially when there's a need amongst the community. So I want to encourage everyone to try to make the effort to help those in need in this time where a lot of people are suffering from the economic situation that we're in.
Jazakallah khair. Sheikh Abdul Salam, I heard recently that zakah should be only given to Muslims. So I always grew up thinking it could be given to anyone who is needy, which is correct.
The answer is which is correct. Meaning that it should be given to the Muslims only because there are a lot of Muslims that are needy. But just before I go into a little more details in this, I just wanted to add to what Sheikh Isan had mentioned when it comes to the tahajjud and the witr and all those, and the tarawih salah and stuff. So basically, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Ij'alu akhira salatikum witra," and that is it is recommended. It is best to pray your witr salah as the last salah for the night. So if you know that you pray tarawih and get up for tahajjud, then you should delay your witr at the end of that. And the difference between the tarawih and tahajjud, they are all basically night prayers, as Sheikh Isa had mentioned. And I think what the common in our part of the world, people differentiate between the two, right? But the best thing as the Prophet ﷺ, he said in the hadith that is narrated by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, that if one fears that he will not get up to perform the later part of the night, the last 1/3 of the night, then he should perform the night prayer earlier. But if you know that you are accustomed, you can get up, then the best thing to do it is to perform that at that time. So the difference between, as the Sheikh had mentioned, it is the terminology. All are night prayers. People in our part of the world think tahajjud is only late at night, and tarawih is only in the early part of the night. So I just wanted to shed some light on that. So the zakah should be given to poor and needy Muslims. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he had mentioned in the Quran the categories of people who should receive the zakah. And the general consensus of the ulama, it is that it should be given to Muslims only. It shouldn't be given to Muslims only. Wallahu alam. Jazakallahu khair.
Okay, shukran. Jazakallah khair. So all right, so we just have one or two more questions, and one from WhatsApp. There's one, Abdul Salam, I can actually take the one that is in the chat now, which is asking if people live in countries where the fasting hours are exceptionally long, is it permissible to make up the fast in another month with normal hours?
Well, Ramadan is only 1 month, and Ramadan cannot be substituted for other months. And this is the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we have created the earth and people live in different parts of the world, right? Some have it harder than others. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he gives people the ajr, right? He gives people the reward of the struggles that they go through for whatever ibadah. They don't have to just be fasting, right? So the question that you say, if you can delay your fast because of the long hours or short hours, no, but we should try our best to fast on the days of the month of Ramadan, And I also heard, I'm not sure, but maybe the other mashayikh, they can comment on this, that there are certain fatwas that, if there are long hours, when we say like over 20 hours, then there are certain scholars who say that you could take the country closest and take those those hours, but the more correct of the opinion it is that we cannot substitute the days of Ramadan for other months. So we should still try our best to fast in the month of Ramadan, Wallahu alam. And the other question is, if I usually fast on Mondays and Thursdays, is it okay to fast tomorrow, Thursday, the April 23rd, even though the first day of fast may be Friday? It is okay, you can fast if you're accustomed fasting, but the correct thing in the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu the last half of the month of Sha'ban, which we are in right now, he used to try to stay away from fasting. He used to fast a lot in the first half of Sha'ban to prepare his body, get accustomed, and give his body the rest for the few days before the month of Ramadan, so that he can go into the month of Ramadan, well prepared. Right, and Wallahu alam, Allah knows best.
Okay, shukran. Isa, there's a question in the chat. If you could probably handle that one quickly as we end. Can the poor and needy Muslims use zakah towards fidya?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I think the way I would address this is I'll paste a hadith. I don't think we have the time to go through the entire hadith, but for a person who is poor and unable to pay the fidya, the obligation of the fidya falls from them, and it wouldn't be upon them to use zakah money to pay the fidya. Now, of course, any sadaqah, anything that they can give, they will be rewarded for, inshallah. And Sheikh Abdul Salam mentioned the hadith that, to give, even if it's a piece of a deed. But one should not feel that if they don't have the means, that Islam will still make obligatory upon them what they don't have the means to do. Allah said in the Quran, "La yukallifu nafsan illa wus'aha," that Allah does not put on a soul a burden greater than it can bear. So if someone is so needy that they can't afford to pay the fidya, then that obligation falls.
Jazakallah khair. So there's one question that we didn't take in the chat high up. I'm just going to ask you to handle that. Go ahead.
Just before you answer, I just wanted to add a little bit to what Sheikh Isa said. Can they, again, a short answer, another opinion that is also given, can the poor and needy Muslim use zakah towards fidya? So for example, if a person is poor and needy and they got zakah, right? The zakah is for them. It does not mean that that is their zakah that they have to give somebody else. So it becomes there. It is not, when they possess it, it is not zakah for them, right? So they can give out of that. They can give out of that. Again, that's also another opinion from the scholars. So you can also look at it that way, that when zakah was given to the poor and needy, then the poor and needy, when they get that actual zakah, right, to them it is, not their zakah. Zakah was given to them. I don't know if I am trying to.
So it becomes their wealth to do what they need to do with.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
They can give out as that, and as our Sheikh Isa said, if they have nothing, then they will have the fidya. But we should still, at the very least, give anything at all if it's possible.
All right, so Sheikh Asad, I'm going to ask you to take this question on the screen, but there's one in the chat that I'm going to ask Isa to take, just because we didn't take it. Now it has to do with i'tikaf. I didn't take it because I didn't think i'tikaf might be applicable this year, but I'll ask Isa just to comment on it. If one spends i'tikaf in the masjid, can I carry my phone for Islamic lectures and taking calls? What is the ruling regarding bathing while in i'tikaf?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Unfortunately, I can't see the questions anymore because I got my connection dropped and reconnected. But based on what you said,
would you like me to read it over?
I think if I miss anything,
so it's basically asking about use of phones during i'tikaf and bathing during i'tikaf.
Right. So I would highly recommend that you bathe during i'tikaf. I mean, luckily, well, I shouldn't say luckily, but the circumstances are that likely there won't be much other people in the masjid, because there's a moral which translates into Islamic responsibility amongst us to maintain these social distancing guidelines, to save life and to prevent harm to other Muslims and to the nation on the whole. So as responsible Muslims, we need to maintain those guidelines. But if someone is performing itikaf, and it's possible if there are 1 or 2 people in the masjid and they stay their distance from each other and they isolate from the wider community, then yes, it is recommended that one bathes, because harming other Muslims with your scent is contrary to the sunnah. And I could bring evidence upon evidence to support that, but I don't think we have the time for it. Concerning, what was the other part of the question? Whether the phone,
yeah.
I wouldn't. Of course, there's any hadith about using a phone or not, but the principle here is that in the itikaf, one has to try to maintain that solitude and to spend the time in worship and devote it to Allah. If the phone aids you in that and is not a distraction, and is a tool that you could use to use the time well, then by all means. If the phone is something that's going to distract you and you're going to be chatting all day and night, and watching videos on YouTube that are not beneficial, then I would say don't take the phone. It's a matter, in some of these issues, it is upon the person, istafti callback. Take fatwa from your own heart. You would know.
Okay. All right. Shukran. Jazakallah khair. And Sheikh Hassan, if you could just take this last question, because we over by about 15 minutes. I want to end with this one. I think this is the most apt question to end with. I heard that Allah said fasting is for me and I will reward it accordingly. What does that mean, and why is fasting singled out?
Right. So before I answer this, there was a question in the chat that I do want to address, even though you may think it's not relevant. Somebody asked if there's a COVID-19 vaccine and it becomes mandatory, that should we as Muslims take it? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes, people. That whatever medicine and so on that can save your life, please go ahead and take it. And I know what comes, I believe I know what is behind this question, that there's a lot of misinformation being spread on social media about the COVID-19 and about vaccines in general and so on. A lot of conspiracy theories. Please do not listen to any of these foolish conspiracy theories. COVID-19 is not some plot by the Dajjal. Don't listen to anything like that. It is not some plot by the world powers to subjugate the people and to keep them locked up. Please follow the directions of the health authorities and stay at home and take the precautions that they tell you to take. It is not some conspiracy by a cabal of people in a dark room. It's nothing like that. And also, if you have a 5G telephone using a 5G network, use it. It's very good. It's fast. And 5G does not cause the coronavirus. Don't listen to any of those foolish conspiracy theories. We as Muslims must be smarter, and we must know that we must not fall for all these silly and foolish theories, right? Sorry for ranting on that, but I get very annoyed by these things, right?
Glad that you answered it.
Yes. Right. So then this last question, fasting is for me, and I will record it accordingly. What does it mean, and why is fasting singled out? The scholars have given various interpretations of this, and just to make it brief, this hadith is really, it's tremendous encouragement for us in Ramadan to fast. Some scholars have explained it, that the other acts of worship, the reward has been specified. If you look at various hadith and so on, you will see there specific rewards for certain acts of worship. But fasting, the reward has not been specified. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward it according to how he wishes. And that should give us great hope, and that should inspire us, that who knows what that reward of fasting is, and who knows how tremendous it is, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, of course, Al-Kareem, the most generous. So we have we hope and we expect for great rewards. Another explanation is that the other acts of of worship, they can easily be seen. If someone goes to Hajj, well, everybody sees them going and making tawaf around the Kaaba and so on. The Salah is it's a bodily action that you have to do, and people can see you doing it. And so, and if you didn't pray, then at least the people who are around you know that you didn't pray. Whereas fasting, it's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Really, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows if you're fasting or not. It's very easy to hide and go and eat and drink and nobody will see you, right? So it's very easy to pretend to be fasting, and only Allah already knows if you're fasting, and so it's for Him, and so He will record it accordingly. But whatever the true explanation is, in the end, the Hadith gives us tremendous hope and inspiration, and that is what I want to. That's a message, and I want to give all the people who are listening, especially in this Ramadan where we are locked up in our houses. Please don't be depressed. Don't think negatively. Instead, be positive. Be optimistic that even with these restrictions, we can achieve everything that we hope to achieve in Ramadan. The doors of goodness are open to us. The doors of the masajid are closed and locked, yes. And Mr. Gary Griffith puts roadblocks to turn people back, and because it's not essential for them to be on the road. But there are no roadblocks on the pathways towards goodness. There are no roadblocks on the pathways towards earning the rewards of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should hasten towards those pathways.
Okay, shukran, jazakallah khair. All right, so I want to bring things to an end. Inshallah, we went over the time. I just want to.
Amir, I just wanted to add just one small thing before we close. Just to add to the explanation of Sheikh Asad when it comes to that hadith, that fasting is for me and I will reward and with accordingly. And one of the explanation I was given, that one of the great lessons from fasting is that it teaches of the level of sincerity. Ikhlas is something very, very important in all our ibadat and everything that we do in our lives. And fasting, especially in the month of Ramadan, it teaches us, and it is between ourselves and Allah. Allah knows the level of our sincerity that we are doing this act of ibadah, and He will reward us accordingly to how sincere we are. So one of the great lessons, brothers and sisters, from fasting is how sincere we become, not only in Ramadan, not only in fasting. The lessons we learn during the month of Ramadan, it is to help us outside the month of Ramadan. And one of the biggest lessons from fasting, it is ikhlas, it is sincerity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all ikhlas and ittiba' in everything that we do in our lives, especially our worship. Allahu alam, jazakumullah khair.
Ameen, shukran, jazakallah khair. Okay, guys. So, alhamdulillah, we had a very productive session. I want to thank all of the brothers and sisters who attended, and in particular, our three brothers who took the time to listen to the questions and respond to the best of their abilities. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward them and to forgive them for any shortcomings. Inshallah, we plan to have more webinars coming up. If there were any questions that you didn't get answered or you didn't get to ask, then you can feel free to message us or email us. We will still respond via email. And inshallah, you can look out for the other webinars that we will have during the course of the month. So other questions could be accommodated then as well, inshallah. So for now, we want to tell everybody thank you for attending, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help all of us to live to see Ramadan and to accept our fast and other actions in Ramadan. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this our best Ramadan that we have seen. Ameen. Shukran, jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Right.
It's good, I guess. I mean, it's normal.
Brother Amir, can you still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm seeing some questions.
Like I just saw one question about Eid. I was not messaging any
questions.
So if Navita is here, you could probably still answer that question.
Navita is still there?
I'm not seeing her in
Oh,
the
dear.
list now, yeah. But
Oh dear. Right. Well, what I want to suggest, as you said, if we could have another session sometime, and that question will come up
yeah,
later on in Ramadan.
yeah.
I think what we should do till like about the middle of Ramadan, maybe we'll have a better idea if we can have Eid Salah as normal or not,
Inshallah,
and then we could probably address that. But for those who
Inshallah.
still here, I could tell you, this is not my answer, but there are scholars in other countries who have looked at that because they're already anticipating that. And what some of them have said is yes, that the Eid Salah can be performed at home, but with no khutbah, because the khutbah really is for when you have a audience, right? The khatib, you khatib and nas, right? He addresses the people. So there's no need for the khutbah, just the Eid Salah, and you can have it in Jama with the family and so on. But we'll go into more details, inshallah, maybe later in Ramadan when the situation becomes clearer.
Okay, Jazakallah khair.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, guys, assalamu alaikum, and then the meeting now, inshallah.